you guys are here today for the equipment grant. We were awarded originally just $470,000, but USDA, it's normally a $30 million grant. Up until a few weeks ago, they threw another $50 million at it, made it an $80 million grant, and our allocation ended up being over $1.2 million. So that's what our equipment grant is this year. So you will apply for the equipment grant in CARS. It's already opened. It opened last Thursday morning time frame. So I know we've had a few already apply, which is great. So keep applying. We got a lot of money to get rid of this year, or to hand out. I shouldn't say get rid of, to hand out. The application deadline closes at 4:30. I should do that. 4:30 on November 14th of 2022. There's more information on the equipment grant, and it can be found in CARS. Go to other documents, and then there's a heading that says equipment grant, and that is the current equipment grant information where it can be found. The minimum amount that can be requested for this equipment grant, just like others in the past, is $1,000. That's the minimum. You can go more than that. And a few things. Basically, this PowerPoint is just from the equipment grant memo that we received. So I'm just giving you exactly what is required of it based on what USDA states. So equipment purchases must comply with federal and state procurement regulations. So that means you, for child nutrition, with all procurement, you've got to get 2 or more quotes. Funds must be tracked separately from other child nutrition funds. The code for equipment grant is Project Reporting Code 791. So everything dealing with the equipment grant will be coded as such. No administrative funds are available for these grants. It's solely for equipment. Grants will only be awarded to a site in the LAA if the total request for the expenditure is $1,000 or greater. I stated that a few minutes ago. Funds received through this grant cannot be combined with other school funds and must be tracked and reported separately. LEAs must submit obligation, which is your purchase order, your expenditure, which is the invoice, and the documentation, which is the copy of the payment/warrant, before funds will be released by our office for reimbursement for the equipment purchase. Same process as any other year that we've done this. Eligibility: LEAs who participate in the National School Lunch Program are eligible to apply for the grant on behalf of individual schools unless the school site applying has received funds in the years listed. So the reason there's so many years there is we did skip a couple. So basically, if you received any in 2009 or 2010, and then we had a break, and then basically 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, and 21. If a particular site in your district has had an equipment grant awarded to them in any of those years, they aren't eligible unless we didn't have enough people apply to meet our $1.2 million. We don't know that we will this year. Typically, what I've been told is in years past, we normally get right about $1 million to just over $1 million in applications, and we have 1.2 million this year. So I'm not going to say we won't meet that with all the applicants, and I'm not saying we will, but there's always that chance. So we have to do a scoring sheet to award. So we will see how that goes. And again, a reminder, I did mention this first one already, but you must obtain 2 or more quotes following normal procurement procedures for child nutrition programs. And the other reminder is be sure to include the cost of delivery, installation, such as electrical, if needed for your piece of equipment. Those things can be included with that. So keep that in mind. Several important dates to remember, which is all in the information in CARS under the equipment grant heading. Again, the deadline for the equipment grant to be submitted is November 14th of 2022 at 4:30 p.m. We will then grant award notification on or before December 1st. I think we're going to have quite a few more because of the $1.2 million. So we might be pushing that December 1st grant award notification timeframe. The deadline for submission of obligation, which is your commit to purchase, is February 13th of 23. The final deadline for submission of equipment invoices for payment by the state agency is May 5th of 2023, and all grant funds must be expended by September 30th of 24. The focus area of the grant is food quality. This is equipment that will help improve the quality of school nutrition meals in ways that support the nutritional standards. Purchasing an alternative piece of equipment for a deep fryer, for example. You can't ask for a deep fat fryer because you're not supposed to do that in schools anymore, so that's not going to be approved. Healthy meals, equipment that lends itself to improving the quality of school food service, meals that meet the nutritional standards with emphasis on more fresh fruits and vegetables. Food safety, equipment that improves the safety of food served in the school nutrition programs, for example, a hot or cold holding equipment, dishwashing equipment, refrigeration, milk coolers, freezers, blast chillers, etc., are just a few. Energy efficiency, equipment that improves the overall energy efficiency of the school nutrition programs. An example could be a purchase of an energy efficient walk-in freezer, replacing an outdated energy demanding freezer. Some more focus areas of the grant: expand participation, equipment that supports improved and or expanded participation in the school nutrition program and or the school breakfast program. So maybe something, if you're wanting to do maybe breakfast in between classrooms or in the hallway in between like first and second hour or something like that, you could get a cart that would have the a place to set the food and a way to get a count. That's always something you can do. Equipment for serving meals in a non-traditional setting, like I just mentioned, or a better way to utilize in the cafeteria space. A smarter lunchroom changes that provide more convenience and appeal to the student population, highlighting healthier choices, availability of existing or local funding for equipment purchases. Districts that have a 3-month operating balance are encouraged to use child nutrition funds to purchase needed equipment. And I know that we've been dealing with a lot of that now because of all the additional COVID money you got with child nutrition during that time frame. A lot of schools have additional funds and have been buying equipment. The age of current food service equipment or lack of appropriate equipment is another focus area for the grant. Non-allowable expenses with this grant. Reimbursement will not be provided for purchases of deep fat fryers or transport vehicles. Costs that are not allowed in the National School Lunch, after school snack, and breakfast programs are equipment depreciation costs for non-expendable equipment, items which become fully depreciated or non-expendable equipment in storage or future use. Capital expenditures for land or construction facilities, other capital assets, purchases including passenger automobiles and certain other equipment, which we can, talk about that too, depending on what you're wanting to do. Sometimes with certain equipment, we do have to reach out to USDA. Any capital expenditure which materially increases the value of capital assets must be approved by the state agency and USDA. Capital expenditures tend to always have to go to USDA. Renovation of the school nutrition area would fall under the category of construction costs that might be charged to the LEA's general fund. There's been a few instances with some renovation that we have sent to USDA that I questioned at times if it would be allowed, and they have, and then there's times that they deny it too. There's a fine line there, trust me. Facility or land occupancy by contractual agreements, which are classified as rental / purchase or leased with an option to purchase. Those items are non-allowable. I'm now going to turn it over to Edgar, our favorite guy on staff, and he's going to kind of walk you through the actual equipment grant process in cars. Okay. You want me to put you on mute real quick?
Yeah, I'm gonna get off the PowerPoint.
You're not going to do the PowerPoint?
Yeah.
So you want me to stop sharing my screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. But then let me get the blackboard.
Mm-hmm.
Hi everyone, just give me a minute. Just switching up some screens. Can you see me?
No, not yet.
No?
No. That's weird.
Hmm. Well,
There's some here.
okay.
Sorry, guys.
Okay, so it sounds to me everyone can see my screen. Um, I want to say thank you to Kiefer Public Schools. They gave me the okay to use their account so I could show you how to um, go through the walkthrough. There's a few slides in the PowerPoint, but it's basically the walkthrough. I felt that it's best to just go through it in the actual course versus just going through the slides. Real quick, if for some reason you cannot access the equipment grant, just be sure that this box right here on the right side is checked where it says authorize access to the equipment grant. Right now, this year, you have access to it, but next year we will be not, we will be graying that out. So it won't be available on your end, but go ahead and check it if you don't have access to the equipment grant on the checklist. And so right now I'm going to the checklist. As you can see, the equipment grant is at the bottom of the checklist. It's below the low income verification and USDA, the USDA PLE review. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. I've already filled the high school out just a little bit, but to add a site, first you're going to have to click on this drop down and add the site that you're wanting to apply for this year. Once you add it, it will show right here in this section. I'm going to go ahead and add or click on the key for high school. Once I fill it out, once I click on it, there's information regarding the equipment grant. Most of it's information that Jennifer already explained in the PowerPoint. If you do have questions about this application or have any kind of issues, you could always reach out to Rhonda or Becky. Okay, and so basically you're gonna go ahead and enter your information. The name of the district and the county should be there already. So go ahead and put your contact information, your phone number, your best email address. And then since you added this site, there was a few things we were still cleaning up or updating in this application. You will notice that the yes is already clicked on. Disregard that, choose the option that's best for your school. If you're wondering if you did exceed the 3-month operating balance in the previous fiscal year, you should have received a letter back around March. Otherwise, you would have been contacted sooner about that. So choose whichever option is best for you. In this example, I just went ahead and clicked yes, and then I just filled this in. Just as an example, this depends on what your school's needs are and what you have prepared or agreed to do with the state office. And then you'll go ahead and continue to fill out the next question. It could be a yes or a no. As Jennifer mentioned, in most cases, if the site has already received an equipment grant in the previous year, it's not eligible unless there's other reasons that she had explained. So we have this in the system for now, but if you feel if you feel different about it, give us a call and then we can look into it. But for the most part, everyone does usually click no. On the school data, this section, go ahead and leave this or skip this part. Your low income report from last year, FY22, should already be pre-populated. If you're a RCCI, you will not have numbers pre-populated in there. You will have to look back at some numbers from October fiscal year 22 and give us a, if you have questions, give us a call if you're an RCCI. Other than that, if you're a school, just move on to the next. I'm gonna pause real quick here. Is there any questions, Becky? Okay.
I'm going to. I
Okay.
kind of think I know, but let's make sure.
Okay, we can go ahead and move on. So in your once you add your site, pay attention to this list of equipment. It is empty when you have added your site. On my screen, you see that I added a convection oven. I did that to save us some time, but yours will be empty. What you will want to do is add the equipment, but hold off before you do that. Or if you're already in there, it's okay, just get back to this page. So basically, as you can see here, I added this equipment, but if you notice, there's a green check mark. Now pay attention to this part because it's really important. We have to have you certify the actual equipment and certify this actual application, which is this first page that we're in. So for example, if you went ahead and filled this convection oven out and you didn't certify it, because see, there's a green check mark, you'll know you certified it when you have a green padlock. So in this example, I didn't certify it. I thought I did. So then I'm going to go ahead and click certify form, right? And the message says at least one piece of equipment must be listed and all equipment listed must be certified before the application can be certified. So this is good. It's like, oh, okay, I didn't do something right. So I'm going to go back into the equipment I added and I'm gonna certify it at the bottom. But for right now, we're gonna hold off on that because I'm just gonna show you basically start from top to the bottom. Just about every box does need to fill out. Every box is going to depend on the equipment that you're wanting to purchase. So go ahead and just enter the best information that you have for the equipment that you have. There's no right or wrong answer. I'm sure when you get your quotes, it'll provide this information. Just do your best to put that in there. Basically, what you're looking for, where it's coming from, or where it's been made, the model, if it's there. I just did a basic description of what the oven is. There's drop-down boxes in some of these questions. Just use the best decision that you think is best for your school. In this example, I put 100 as what I would like at my school. Obviously, there's also a new purchase, or if you're replacing an item, or if you bought a refurbished item. Do the best to find the how many years or the age of your equipment is. There might be times where you can't find that. Just do the best you can, and if you absolutely can't find it, then just make a note in here either way. Same thing, just continue to fill out each box. This one says, describe how this piece of equipment will enhance your breakfast program. There's really no right or wrong answer. Again, these are just examples that I thought of. Just do the best you can there. On here, number 3, the SFA must try to obtain 3 price quotes. In Jennifer's slides, we actually did update it there. We do need to get this updated. It will be updated possibly for next year for sure. It's actually 2 quotes. At one point it was 3, but now it's actually at least 2 or more. If you're having issues trying to get quotes from the vendor because they say due to a shortage or just lack of supplies, Still make note of that. Say, write down somewhere that you contacted such vendor, they told you this, you spoke with that person at that time. That still helps as one of your quotes. And then here, as Jennifer mentioned too, that whenever you're looking for one of your equipments, like an oven or a steamer, make sure to check, okay, if I buy this equipment, do I need to get any electrical updated? Do I need to install any new plumbing? Make sure you get quotes for that. So for example, my oven, it's actually 13,000, but because the way this oven is set up and it's newer, I have to get newer wiring or thicker wiring installed, and I was quoted, let's say $2,000. So actually I'm going to spend 15,000. And then for right now, just go ahead. I marked that down as one, because if you actually do two, it's going to double the amount. And so next year we'll be updating this area so that it works best for the extra costs you encumber and your actual equipment. So that's there for that. Is there any questions there? Okay, so going through number 4, right here, basically you're gonna have to do the same thing, that you just write down the best information that you can think of for your item that you're purchasing. Again, there's no right or wrong answer. You are going to have to check each of these check boxes. If you don't check a box, or if you don't fill out a comment and you try to save this equipment, it will tell you as well that you left something blank. So here are some examples. Notice I try to incorporate the words that we're talking about, like quality. I have that in here too. Safety, I have that in here. And it just keeps going. Again, there's no right or wrong answer. Just write down the best information that you can for the equipment you have. Then I'm just gonna show you, for example, like I'm gonna leave this one unchecked, and then I'm gonna leave that, and I'm just gonna save it. It says the following fields are required before saving. Improves availability of funding checkbox is required, which is this one that I just left blank. Because if you don't fill this out, basically your application is considered incomplete, and we don't want that. We do want your complete application, because we want every school to have this grant if the grant allows for the funding. So I'm just gonna save time. I'm just gonna put this right there. And then the last question is, like, you know, what you can expect. When are you expecting to have this equipment in your hands? Or which time frame is this? Yeah, right. Maybe read that one too fast. Oh, when do you plan to spend this money? Okay. So every school, it's going to depend. Just use the best choice that you feel in your area. If you do within 3 months, but then later on you find something else out, just give us a call and we could just advise you what to do then. This is just to give us an ETA, basically. So now that I have this completed, I'm going to be sure to click Certify. The equipment application for this site, 705, which is my high school, has been successfully updated and submitted. Great. Okay, so now I certified it. The message came up, and then most importantly, just be sure that it has a timestamp on here, because that's how you know for sure it was submitted. And then I'll go back to the other page that I still have to certify as well. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to click on this application button. So now I went to the first page of the whole application. Everything's still there. And look, as you will see, there's a green padlock. That's great. That's good news. Yes, that's what we want. So now I feel that everything is good to go. I want the state to know that I have certified this equipment for this site. I'm going to go ahead and click certify form here too. So it has been certified here too. There's my timestamp. This is good. Then I could either go back to the checklist or the site listing. I'm actually going to go back to the site listing because on this page where I initially added my high school, I just want to make sure that my high school is still there. And then yes, again, most importantly, there's a green padlock again. You could go back to the checklist as well to take another look. Let me see here. See, now there's a green padlock there. That's good. If you, for some reason, cannot get the green padlock to show, reach out to us and then we could take a look. Maybe there's somewhere that's just not agreeing, or maybe there could be some other issue. For the high school, I'm going back in here. You could add another piece of equipment, but again, you'll just ultimately get granted for one. If you added two, you can also rank them. Like maybe I added a steamer, but then I felt I want the convection oven to be number one, like my most important one. You could also do that by just switching rank or clicking rank equipment. Normally, every site just has one equipment that the school is applying for. So again, remember, you have to have a green padlock here, and then you have to certify it here. You have to certify it twice, certify the equipment and certify the actual application. Is there any questions?
Yes, Edgar.
And they do need to
Edgar.
We're going through some questions right now. One moment.
Okay.
A couple have asked, again, the site, can you apply for more than one site? Yes, you can, as long as those sites have not received it prior to now. Again, that if we don't have enough money, that could change. So you could apply if you'd like to, not saying you have to, but that doesn't mean the site that's received it prior to this equipment grant would get it necessarily, because again, we won't know how many have actually applied or the amount applied for until it's closed and we pull everything. It's kind of convoluted, but that's how it goes. Let's see, quotes, what companies, any companies you would like. You're not limited to what companies you can request a quote from. Edgar has one more thing. I'm going to peek at the chat some more while Edgar addresses something, please.
Back to adding to Jennifer, where she mentioned that there was a question about how do you know if you received one in the past? One way to just double check, at least back to 2000, actually, no, it's just last year. I was getting confused there. Well, you could, in cars, you could go back to last year's checklist and just look at the equipment grant there and see if it has a green or gold padlock. That's for at least 2000, fiscal year 2002, but for 1920 or 21 or even other previous years, at that time we didn't have the equipment grant in cars. So yeah, so yes, you would have to reach out to us for those years. But at least for last year's, you could go back to last year's and see if you filled out anything or if the previous employee filled out anything. In this case, this school did not fill out the equipment grant last year, and that's okay. Maybe they just didn't feel the need for it during that year, or they already have received the equipment grants.
Okay, I'm going to ask Edgar one real quick because you might have to get with him. Debbie Reynolds, you asked, how do you delete a site? Mine doesn't show a delete. What school are you with, Debbie? And we will have Edgar check into that for you.
Yes, I'll check on it after this.
Haleyville.
Okay.
Haleyville.
Okay,
Okay, we'll check on that and get with you, Debbie.
It's by kitchen, right? That's how I always do it.
I thought it didn't matter if you didn't.
We had a question about how is a site eligible? To clarify, only a site that has a kitchen is eligible. So for example, if you have a middle school and a high school that share a building or don't share a building, but they just have one kitchen, you can only choose one of those schools to actually apply for that grant.
Your question. Okay, sorry, we were doing some questions back and forth in here. Debbie clarified it won't give her a lock on the checklist page with the site still there that received a grant previously. Didn't think it did that. Edgar's going to look into that, Debbie.
Yeah, I have to look after
Okay.
this.
He will look after this. Have I missed? I mean, you might apply for 2 different pieces of equipment at one site, but you're only going to get awarded one. Yes, the high school could apply for a serving line. Yes, if they haven't had a grant before. They haven't received a grant before. If you're not sure if you've received a grant in the past at a particular site, you'll need to reach out to Rhonda Stevenson or Becky Gray, and they'll be able to check that for you. Billy, I'm going to get back with you because you've had, so yes, you have a central kitchen that feeds multiple sites. Several of those sites have had equipment grant in the past, so that's what I need to check on. It's not necessarily the piece of equipment, it's the site. And so I need to check on your question, Billy. And I think we've gotten everything. Have you, do you all notice that I've missed anything? Oklahoma was awarded over $1.2 million after they being USDA issued an additional $50 million to the already in place $30 million grant. So it became an $80 million equipment grant, and our allocation went from over 470,000 to over 1.2 million. As far as the amount of money that stays in the child nutrition account, it's a 3-month operating balance, but this year there will be a few extensions to that because of additional funds that have been given due to COVID. So you will be able to carry over more than that. There'll be more information coming on that in the next few months. In other words, you will not be limited to 3 months. you will get a bigger carryover this year. Again, more to come on that, but that is coming. Okay, questions on equipment grant, because I don't have any more questions in the chat, can be addressed to Becky Gray or Rhonda Stevenson. And if it's a CARS issue, you'd be better off to reach out to Edgar, meaning something's not populating correctly in CARS with the equipment grant, or technology-wise, anything like that. He would be your best go-to for that. I don't want to keep you all for no reason. So if, again, no more questions in the chat. So good luck in applying. And if you have questions, please reach out to us. That's what we're here for. And if you're still on fall break, enjoy it. If you're back, it's a downhill slide to the holidays. Have a great rest of your week. And we will talk soon on our next monthly school call. Thanks, everybody.